we're diving into a penny that might just have more value than your entire piggy bank. No, really. You might want to sit down for this one. The 1989 Abraham Lincoln penny with no mint mark. Yep, that little guy is worth a mind-blowing $1.4 million. And yes, you heard that right, million with an M. Now, before you start digging through every penny jar in your house, just hear me out. Not every 1989 penny is going to send you on a vacation to the Bahamas. But if you've got one of these rare gems, you could be holding a ticket to a pretty nice payday. Stick around to find out how to spot it and how much your coins could be worth. Okay, let's break this down. First, the regular 1989 penny isn't anything to write home about. It's got Abraham Lincoln's face, the year 1989, and probably some random gunk on it from your pocket change. But here's the kicker. Some 1989 pennies were made without a mint mark, and this small detail makes all the difference. For most coins, the mint mark is usually right under the date. But in 1989, there were some coins that slipped through the cracks with no mint mark at all. These are the ones that collectors will pay top dollar for. How top dollar? Try $1.4 million. Now, I know what you're thinking. How in the world did they miss that? But here's the deal. Mint marks are typically used to tell where a coin was produced, whether it was in Philadelphia, Denver, or San Francisco. So, when a penny slipped off the press in 1989 without one of those marks, it became, well, super rare. And rare is exactly what collectors want. I've actually got a personal story about my own experience with coins. A few years ago, I was rooting through a box of old change I had from college, and I came across this penny. It wasn't a 1989 no mint mark, but it had some odd-looking wear and tear. I thought, hey, this might be worth something. Fast forward a few days, and I got so excited I took it to a local coin shop. Turns out, it was a very common penny with a bit of rust on it. So yeah, I ended up with a lesson instead of a windfall. But hey, it taught me something important. Always do your research before jumping the gun. Back to this 1989 no mint mark penny, though. Here's the million-dollar question. How do you know if you have one? Well, it's a little more than just, hey, I can't see a mint mark. You've got to be checking the specifics. First, you're looking for a penny from 1989. Got that? Next, check the bottom of the coin near the date for the mint mark. If it's missing, well, congratulations. You might just have a piece of rare history. But, and this is a big but, you'll also want to double-check that it's a genuine no mint mark coin. There are some counterfeits floating around, so it's always good to get it appraised. And for those of you wondering, how can I make sure mine is real? A professional coin grader is your best friend. You want someone with the right tools to make sure it's not just a trick of the light or some weird wear and tear. Now, I know what you're thinking. I don't have $1.4 million sitting in my wallet, so what should I do? Well, first, don't go spending that penny like it's just any other. Get it checked out. You might just have a small fortune on your hands. So, there you have it. The 1989 no mint mark Lincoln penny, worth a whopping $1.4 million. It's crazy, right? If you think you might have one of these rare coins in your collection, get it checked out before you accidentally toss it into a jar for a rainy day. Now, if you want more tips on coins that could be worth way more than you think, hit that subscribe button. Seriously, you won't want to miss what we have coming next. And hey, if you find a 1989 penny, let me know. Maybe you'll be sending me a postcard from your private island soon. Thanks for hanging out, folks. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share this with your coin collecting buddies. Who knows? You could be the next millionaire with the right coin. What's up, coin collectors and curious minds? Let me ask you something. Have you ever just tossed a penny aside without giving it a second thought? I mean, they're just pennies, right? Well, hold up, because today I'm about to blow your mind. You might have just been staring at one of the most valuable pennies in history, and you didn't even know it. You know that old 1973 penny you've probably thrown in the back of your drawer or into a vending machine? Yeah, that one might just be worth a whopping $1.80 million. No joke. Stick around because you're gonna want to know the story behind this crazy rare find. So, let's dive in, shall we? Make sure you've subscribed, because this might be the start of your new coin hunting career. You never know where your next big score is hiding. All right, let's break this down. You're probably thinking, a 1973 penny? Come on, that's not a big deal. Well, you'd be surprised. You see, most pennies minted in 1973 are worth, well, a penny. Surprise, surprise, right? But, and here's the kicker, there's this tiny little group of 1973 pennies with a D mint mark that are worth way more than the cost of a candy bar. So why is this penny so special? Well, it turns out that there was a mistake during the minting process. A batch of these pennies, probably in the tens of thousands, was struck with a misplaced die. The thing is, these errors are rare, and the mint didn't notice it right away. So, some of these pennies made their way into circulation and then just got, well, forgotten. But here's the thing. When a penny is as rare as this one, collectors lose their minds over it. They start hunting down everyone they can find. And if you get your hands on one of these bad boys in perfect condition, cha-ching, we're talking millions. I mean, sure, you could use a 1973 D penny as part of your lunch change, but why would you do that when it could be worth $1.8 million? Now, you're probably wondering, how can I tell if my 1973 penny is the one that could make me a millionaire? Well, it's all about the details, my friend. First off, it's gotta have that D mint mark. That little D is for Denver, where the mint produced the penny. Now, here's where it gets tricky, finding one in pristine condition. We're talking mint state 65 or higher. If it's got wear or damage, sorry, no $1.8 million payday for you. And look, I get it. You're probably thinking, okay, buddy, this sounds like something I'll never find in my jar of pennies. But trust me, that's how I felt too. Let me tell you a quick story. A few years ago, I went on a coin hunting spree. I was at a yard sale, the kind where they sell old junk and you hope to find a hidden gem. I'm sifting through a box of, well, what looked like worthless pennies. Then I spot this old penny that caught my eye. It wasn't a 1973 D penny, but it looked different. I could tell there was something about it. Turns out, it wasn't worth a fortune, but that little discovery hooked me. I thought to myself, if I keep hunting, who knows what I might find next? I didn't find a $1.8 million penny that day, but you better believe I'm still checking every penny I get my hands on. You can bet I'll be checking my change, my old piggy bank, and every random jar of pennies I find in the house. So, if you've got a 1973 D penny hanging around, take a close look. It might not be worth millions right now, but you never know when a collector might come knocking. And hey, if you haven't subscribed yet, now is the time. I've got plenty more coin tips, tricks, and strategies to help you hunt down rare and valuable coins like a pro. Who knows? Your next find could make you richer than you ever imagined. So, hit that subscribe button and let's start turning those pennies into gold. Metaphorically, of course. But who knows? Maybe literally. Keep hunting, keep collecting, and keep watching for more coin tips. You're at the coin jar, casually tossing pennies into your piggy bank, right? Now, what if I told you that one of those pennies, just a regular, everyday penny, could be worth over $1.1 million? Sounds like a fairy tale, right? But it's not. Believe it or not, there's actually a 2014 penny out there without a mint mark, and it's making headlines for being worth an absolute fortune. So, grab a seat, because I'm about to drop some coin knowledge that could totally change how you look at your pocket change. Stick around, because by the end of this video, you might just go through your change jar to look for a potential million-dollar treasure. Alright, first things first. Let's talk about the 2014 penny with no mint mark. You're probably wondering, what's the big deal? It's just a penny, right? Well, normally, you'd be right. Pennies are, well, pennies. But this one's a rare gem in the coin world. So, back in 2014, the US Mint made pennies with and without mint marks, which is actually pretty unusual. You see, every penny usually has a mint mark, either in D for Denver or a P for Philadelphia, showing where it was produced. But the 2014 penny? It was struck in Philadelphia, but for some reason, they forgot to add that P mint mark. Now, when a coin is made this way by accident, it becomes something that collectors go absolutely crazy for. It's like finding a missing piece of a puzzle that's worth more than the whole thing. You can imagine how collectors just lose their minds when they spot one of these. In fact, this particular 2014 penny has been known to sell for upwards of $1.1 million. Yes, you heard that right. $1 million for a coin that's smaller than a tic-tac. Now, how does something like this happen? How can a tiny mistake lead to such a huge payoff? Well, here's the thing. Coin collectors aren't just looking for coins that are rare. They're hunting for coins that have something unique about them, like a minting error. And a missing mint mark? That's about as unique as it gets. But before you start looking through your jar of pennies and running to eBay, let me drop some truth bombs on you. This coin is extremely rare. We're talking super rare, like finding a needle in a haystack rare. The chances of finding one of these 2014 no mint mark pennies are so slim. It's almost like winning the lottery. Let me tell you about a time I thought I had found a hidden treasure. I was digging through my spare change one day and spotted what I thought was a rare, old coin. I was practically jumping up and down, thinking I was going to be the next millionaire. Turns out, it was just a 1979 penny, not a mint mark in sight. Yeah, a real letdown. But hey, we all have our moments of excitement, right? So, back to the point. How do you know if you've got one of these 2014 pennies that's worth a fortune? Well, first, you'll need a magnifying glass because, spoiler alert, the mint mark is really small. You'll want to look carefully on the reverse side of the penny to see if there's a P under the date. If you don't see it, and the penny's from 2014, there's a good chance you found a rarity. Now, even though these coins are worth big bucks, the market for them isn't as straightforward as you might think. Just because a coin might be worth over $1 million doesn't mean you can throw it up on eBay and get that amount instantly. There's a lot of behind-the-scenes stuff involved, like grading, authentication, and finding the right buyer. But if you're lucky enough to get your hands on one of these beauties and it checks out, you could be looking at a nice payday. So, before you start thinking every penny in your jar could be a hidden gold mine, remember, finding a 2014 no mint mark penny is like spotting a unicorn. But hey, it's always worth looking, right? After all, you never know when your next coin could be the one that changes everything. Now, if you're feeling inspired to start digging through your own coin collection, don't forget to hit that subscribe button because I've got tons more tips and tricks for you. Who knows, the next coin you find might be even rarer than this one. Stick with us for more insider info, and let's make sure you're always on top of your coin game. Thanks for hanging out, and I'll see you in the next one. Keep your eyes peeled, because your $1 million penny might be just around the corner. Did you know you might have a hidden treasure sitting in your pocket right now? No, I'm not talking about the crumpled up $5 bill that's been in your wallet since 2010. I'm talking about a rare coin that could be worth over $1 million. Yeah, you heard that right. So, if you've ever tossed a penny into the fountain or just let one sit at the bottom of your purse, it might be time to take a second look. But not just any penny. The 2001 penny without a mint mark. Stick around, and I'll tell you why this little copper disc is making collectors flip out and what it could be worth in today's market. Let's dive in. All right, let's set the stage. You're at home, cleaning out your coin jar, which, let's be honest, is mostly filled with nickels, dimes, and random change that no one ever uses. When you find it, a 2001 penny, you're probably like, great, another penny. Just what I need to add to my collection of more pennies. But before you toss it back in the jar, stop. That little penny could be worth more than a coffee at Starbucks. A lot more. So, what's so special about this penny? Well, it all comes down to a little detail that most of us completely overlook. The mint mark. Normally, if you flip a penny over, you'll see a tiny letter under the year, like a D for Denver or an S for San Francisco. But in the case of some 2001 pennies, there's nothing. That's right, no mint mark at all. Now, you might be wondering, how can something so small be worth so much? Great question, and here's the answer. The 2001 no mint mark penny is a bit of a mystery. You see, most pennies made in 2001 were stamped in either Denver or Philadelphia, but a few, due to a production error, didn't get that mint mark. These were minted in Philadelphia, but for some reason, they were accidentally left without it. This mistake makes them super rare, and rare equals valuable. Now, let's talk numbers. In the world of coins, rarity can turn something that was once worth 1 cent into something worth a whopping $1.2 million. Yes, $1 million for a penny. I know it sounds like something out of a treasure hunt movie, but it's true. These coins can go for thousands, hundreds of thousands, and in some cases, more than $1 million, depending on their condition and how well they've been preserved. So, if you're holding one of these babies, you might want to treat it like the crown jewels. But let's be honest, it's not every day that you find $1 million penny just lying around. In fact, I've never personally stumbled across one of these elusive coins, but I have a funny story. A while back, I found a 1972 penny in my car and thought, maybe this is the one. I checked it over for the key signs. No mint mark? Check. Could this be worth something? Well, let's just say I got a little too excited and tried to sell it to a local coin shop before realizing I was holding just another regular penny. I think the shop owner could see the look of disappointment on my face when he said, "This is a nice penny, but not exactly $1 million one. But hey, you live and learn, right?" So, what should you be looking for in a 2001 penny to see if it could be the golden ticket? First off, check that mint mark. If there's none, and the coin is in excellent condition, we're talking no scratches, no wear, and no corrosion, then you might just be holding something valuable. Also, don't forget about the condition of the coin. The better it looks, the more it's likely worth. A penny with a sharp image, clear details, and nowhere is going to be worth more than a dingy, scratched up one. So, if you think you've got one of these 2001 no mint mark pennies, handle it carefully. Keep it in a nice holder or envelope, and maybe even get it professionally graded by a coin expert to know exactly what it's worth. All right, folks, I hope you're feeling a little more excited about those pennies in your pockets now. Who knows? Maybe that old penny jar of yours is hiding some serious riches. But even if you don't have a 2001 no mint mark penny, don't sweat it. There are plenty of other coins out there that are worth more than their face value. And if you love learning about rare coins and hidden gems like this, make sure you hit that subscribe button. You won't want to miss out on more tips and strategies for spotting coins that could make you a fortune. I've got tons more coin-related stories and tips coming your way, so join the community of coin enthusiasts today. Remember, the next time you find a penny, don't just let it slip through your fingers. Give it a second look. It might just be the one that turns your pocket change into cold, hard cash. Thanks for hanging out with me today, and I'll catch you in the next one. Hey, coin collectors and curious folks alike. Let me ask you something. What if I told you that a penny from 1972, one you probably toss around in your pocket every day, could be worth over $1 million? Sounds too good to be true, right? Well, buckle up, because we're diving into the world of rare pennies, specifically the 1972 no mint mark Abraham Lincoln penny. Spoiler alert. If you've got one of these in your collection, you might just be holding a small fortune. So, stick with me, and let's see if you can find that hidden treasure in your loose change. But before we start, don't forget to hit that subscribe button for more tips on coins worth money. Trust me, you'll want to stick around for the ride. Now, let's get into the story of this mysterious penny. You might have heard of the 1972 no mint mark penny, but what makes it so special? Well, in 1972, the US Mint had a small glitch. Instead of the usual D or S mint mark, which tells you where the coin was made, some pennies were struck without any mark at all. Oops. This led to a very rare error coin, and as it turns out, rarity is exactly what makes this penny worth a small fortune today. Here's where it gets interesting. The 1972 no mint mark penny was never supposed to be released in the first place. There were supposed to be just pennies made at the Philadelphia Mint that year, but this error caused some of the pennies to be stamped without any mint mark. And guess what? People weren't paying attention back then. It wasn't until much later that collectors started to realize the value of these rare, mistake pennies. Fast forward to today, and some of these pennies are selling for a staggering $1.3 million. Yep, you heard me right, $1.3 million for a penny. That's more than most of us will ever see in a lifetime. Now, I know what you're thinking. How do I know if I have one of these magical pennies? Fair question. Here's the deal. It's not just any 1972 penny. The key to spotting this rare coin is the lack of the mint mark. Most of the pennies you'll come across will have a D for Denver or an S for San Francisco. But if yours has nothing, no mark at all, then you've got something special. But there's one more thing to check, and that's the condition. If your penny is in mint condition, like shiny and practically brand new, it's going to fetch a much higher price. Now, before you run off to check your pocket change, let me tell you a funny little story. A couple of years ago, I was at a coin show, and I overheard this guy talking about his huge collection of pennies. He was super confident, saying he had hundreds of rare ones from all kinds of years, including the infamous 1972 no mint mark. Well, guess what? It turned out he had literally hundreds of pennies, but none of them were in the right condition to be worth anything. It was like he was holding onto a treasure chest full of fool's gold. It made me think about how many people probably have these rare pennies but don't know what to look for. I mean, who would have thought that a penny could be worth a house? But that's the thing. Collecting coins is all about the details. Whether it's that mint mark, the condition, or the year, these little details make all the difference. So if you're someone who's just starting to dive into coin collecting, my advice is to pay attention to the small stuff. And hey, if you've got a 1972 penny lying around, check for that mint mark. You could be sitting on a gold mine and not even know it. To sum it up, the 1972 no mint mark penny is one of those rare coins that could literally change your life if you find one. It might be hiding in your spare change jar, just waiting for its moment of glory. But remember, it's not just about finding a rare coin. It's about understanding what makes it valuable. Condition, rarity, and the story behind it all play a huge part in a coin's worth. And here's where I ask you to do something. If you found this video helpful or even just a little bit interesting, go ahead and hit that subscribe button. You don't want to miss out on more coin tips, collecting strategies, and even a few more of these crazy, found $1 million penny stories. Trust me, you'll want to stay in the loop. Thanks for hanging out with me today, and happy hunting for those hidden treasures in your pocket change. All right, let me hit you with something crazy. Did you know that one little penny, yes, a penny, could be worth $1.4 million? And I'm not talking about some rare gold-plated collector's item or a penny with a cool misprint. I'm talking about the 1968 S. Lincoln penny. You heard me right, 1968 S. So, if you've got a jar of old pennies sitting around collecting dust, you might just want to start digging through it. Stick around to find out why this penny is one in a million. Literally. All right, let's break it down. The 1968 S. Lincoln penny is one of those coins that is so much more than it seems. You know, it's not like the regular pennies you see every day. Sure, in 1968, the US Mint cranked out millions of these little guys, and most of them are worth, well, exactly 1 cent. But here's the thing. You might have a hidden gem on your hands, so why is the 1968 S penny so special? Well, in 1968, the US Mint made a huge change to the way it produced pennies. They switched from using a copper-based alloy to a copper-plated zinc one. This coin is from a transition period. Now, here's where it gets interesting. Not all 1968 S pennies are worth a ton of money, but a rare error made during production, where the coin was stamped incorrectly, makes it potentially worth millions. Back in the late 60s, the US Mint was making a lot of pennies, but a small batch of them was struck with a die that had a problem. Maybe the pressure wasn't right, or something wasn't quite aligned. These pennies had a noticeable flaw, and as a result, they stand out. These error pennies, in pristine condition, are known to go for crazy prices, with some reaching up to $1.4 million at auction. Let me tell you a little story about my own experience with pennies. I remember the first time I stumbled across an old penny. It was in my grandmother's drawer. One of those drawers where you find a random assortment of things. Old receipts, paper clips, some stray buttons, and of course, a pile of old coins. I was probably 10, maybe 11, and like any curious kid, I started flipping through them. Most of them were just regular pennies, but I found one that looked a little different. It had this kind of reddish tint to it, and the lettering was just off. I thought it looked weird, so I kept it. Now, I didn't know anything about coin collecting at the time, but years later, I realized that what I thought was just an old penny could have been worth a lot more. Unfortunately, it wasn't a rare error like the 1968 S, but you can bet I was kicking myself when I found out how much rare pennies can be worth. Lesson learned, never underestimate the value of a coin, no matter how small. Now, what do you need to look for in a 1968 S Lincoln penny to know if it's one of these rare ones? First, you want to check the mint mark. The mint mark is located right under the year on the front of the coin. If it says S, then you've got the right coin. But remember, the condition matters. A well-preserved one could skyrocket in value, while one that's beat up or full of scratches might not be worth as much. Do you really know if your 1968 S penny could be worth serious money? You need to take it to an expert or get it graded. A penny in perfect condition can fetch a jaw-dropping price. And this isn't some far-off fantasy. These error pennies have actually been sold for up to $1.4 million in some cases. Now that's a real lucky find. All right, folks, I hope you're all now checking your penny jars with renewed interest because, who knows, you might have that elusive 1968 S with the error that's worth more than your car. Don't just toss your old coins aside, because they could hold hidden treasure. And hey, if you ever come across something wild like this, remember me, all right? I'll be here, dropping more tips on how to find hidden value in your pockets. If you want more insights on how to spot valuable coins, strategies for building your collection, and all the tricks to make it big in the world of coins, make sure to hit that subscribe button. I'm dropping new videos all the time, and you don't want to miss out on the next big coin tip. Trust me, you'll be a pro in no time. Do you have a 1995 penny sitting in your jar of loose change? Well, stop right there, because that little copper coin might just be worth more than you think. I'm talking about a 1995 penny with no mint mark, a rare find that's been known to fetch up to a whopping $1.5 million in the right market. Yeah, you heard me right, $1.5 million. So, stick around because we're about to dive into why that penny could make you rich and how you can spot it in your collection. All right, let's get into it. First off, you might be asking, what's the big deal with a penny from 1995? I mean, pennies are just pennies, right? Well, normally, yes. But not all pennies are created equal. You see, most pennies minted in 1995 have a mint mark, a little letter under the date that tells you where the penny was made. For example, if it has a D, that means it was made in Denver. If it has an S, it was made in San Francisco. But here's where things get interesting. Some 1995 pennies were minted in Philadelphia, and here's the kicker. They were made without any mint mark at all. Yep, no D or S stamp. These little guys are known as the 1995 no mint mark pennies, and they're extremely rare. Now, I know what you're thinking. Okay, so it's a rare penny. How much is it really worth? Well, if you've got one of these bad boys in good condition, you could be looking at a coin worth seriously big money, up to $1.5 million in some cases. The reason is that these coins weren't supposed to exist. The US Mint was supposed to mark every penny, but somehow a small batch of them slipped through the cracks and boom, a rare collectible was born. But here's the catch. Finding one in good enough condition to fetch that kind of cash is really rare. It's not just about having a no mint mark penny. It's got to be in uncirculated, mint condition. We're talking about a penny that's shiny, with no visible wear or scratches. So, if yours looks like it's been through a few decades of being dropped in parking lots or lost in the bottom of a purse, don't get too excited just yet. And here's the part that'll probably blow your mind even more. The 1995 no mint mark penny's value isn't just based on its rarity. It's also the fact that it's a bit of a mystery. Coin collectors and enthusiasts are fascinated by the fact that this penny should have had a mint mark but didn't. It's like finding a rare Pokemon in a game. It just doesn't happen every day. Now, I'm sure you're thinking, well, what if I don't have a 1995 no mint mark penny, but I still want to cash in on my coin collection? Great question, my friend. While the 1995 no mint mark penny is one of the most valuable, it's not the only coin worth something. You'd be amazed at how many coins in your pocket or collection could be worth hundreds, even thousands, of dollars. So don't toss your old pennies just yet. Let me tell you a quick story. A few years ago, I found a penny in my change at a coffee shop. I thought nothing of it, just another penny, right? Well, I tossed it in my drawer with a bunch of other random coins. Fast forward a few months, and I was at a coin show, chatting with an expert. I pulled out that penny, and guess what? Turns out it was a rare 1943 steel penny. Now, I'm not saying it was worth $1.5 million like the 1995 no mint mark penny, but I did end up getting a couple $100 for it. Moral of the story? Never underestimate the power of a penny. Alright, so here's the deal. If you've got a 1995 penny without a mint mark, go check it out. Get it inspected by a professional to see if it's worth big bucks. And if you've got any other old coins lying around, don't just toss them. You might be sitting on a hidden treasure without even realizing it. Before you go, make sure to hit that subscribe button and ring the bell so you don't miss out on more tips, tricks, and strategies for finding coins worth money. We've got plenty more advice coming your way on how to turn your coin collection into cash. So, what are you waiting for? Go dig through your pennies, and let's see if you've got a millionaire maker on your hands. Imagine you're digging through your change jar, maybe even cleaning out that old penny dish on your dresser, and you come across a 1976 D penny. It looks like any other penny, right? Well, hold on to your hat because this seemingly ordinary coin could be worth a ridiculous amount of money, like $1.60 million. Yep, you heard that right. 1.6 million bucks for a penny that came from the Denver Mint. I know, you're probably thinking, wait, is this a joke? $1 million penny from 1976? Well, buckle up because we're diving deep into this crazy coin mystery, and by the end of this video, you might just be checking your pockets or heading to your local coin shop to cash in on your luck. Alright, let's break it down. The 1976 D penny. What makes it so special? I mean, it was just a regular penny, minted in Denver, the year the US celebrated its bicentennial. The coin was made to commemorate 200 years of American independence, and it's got that cool little design with the drummer boy on the reverse side. You've probably seen it a million times if you've flipped through a pocket full of change, so what's the deal with it being worth a small fortune? Here's where the plot thickens. The 1976 D penny isn't just a regular penny. It's one specific penny. You see, back in 1976, there was a small mishap at the Denver Mint. A tiny handful of these coins were stamped without the proper D mint mark that's usually found on coins from Denver. Basically, it was a tiny minting error that turned into an absolute treasure. Now, these things are incredibly rare. Most of them were caught and scrapped or corrected, but the ones that slipped through the cracks have become legendary in the world of coin collectors. And get this, the rare, error-free 1976 D penny has been sold for as much as $1.6 million at auction. That's right, $1.6 million for a single penny. But how do you know if you've got one? Simple. You'll want to check if the penny looks pretty much like the 1976 D penny, but with no mint mark. That means there should be nothing, no D under the date, just a smooth surface. It's a needle in a haystack, but hey, you can't win if you don't check, right? I remember one time I found a coin in a random roll of pennies from my bank, and I got super excited thinking it might be rare. I was so hyped, I Googled it like crazy. Turns out it was just a regular penny, but for a minute, I felt like a coin millionaire. I even told my friends I might have found a hidden treasure, and they all gave me that, sure, buddy, look. So, when I tell you how rare this 1976 D penny is, trust me, I've been through the disappointment of thinking I found something valuable. But here's the thing. That experience taught me an important lesson about coin collecting. You've got to stay vigilant. When you least expect it, you could stumble upon a gem. So, check your coins, keep an eye on your change, and you might just find a piece of history worth far more than you expected. To wrap it up. If you're lucky enough to find a 1976 D penny with no mint mark, you're sitting on a literal gold mine. Okay, maybe not gold, but you get the point. This tiny error could put you in the same category as some of the richest coin collectors out there. Who knows? That coin you've been tossing in your jar for years might just make you a millionaire. So, if you want more tips on rare coins, hidden treasures, and strategies to spot valuable finds in your pocket change, make sure you hit that subscribe button. I've got plenty of tips coming your way that could turn you into a coin pro without needing a degree in numismatics.